So, quick-ish video about should traditional sculptors learn to use ZBrush. My honest opinion, totally. Yes, you should, and I'll explain why. ZBrush Core is the one I use. You know, I don't need anything fancy. I don't do a lot of non-organic modeling. All you need for it basically is a Wacom tablet, little pen, which I've been using for years, both with Photoshop. It works with Photoshop as well. So I'll explain why, basically. So here is an Oliver Cromwell bust. That's the original model with a little wooden base. You know, that's my one. So that's the original. And to reproduce that, I sold that in conjunction with the Cromwell Association. We sold about 15 of them. It's a little fundraising thing because I think it's an important figure in English history, world history, really, as Jamaicans will tell you. But just looking at this piece, piece was made in Magic Sculpt with some preformed lettering bought and just stuck on the base when I'd got it done. Now the problem is these, if you can see the lapels, this is modelled after the Hamo Thornycroft outside the Houses of Parliament. Hamo Thornycroft, my favourite sculptor ever. So I did that in kind of that style for the Cromwell Association so that people would recognise it, etc., etc. Now, to reproduce that, I had to make a 2-part silicon mould, which cost money. That in itself probably took 4 days of effort, backwards and forwards, and a lot of sanding and messing around and all the rest of it. And each cast was slush cast and then filled, and then a rod put in it and then mounted on a base and all the rest of it. Now, if I were doing that again, knowing what I know now, I learned ZBrush in January, and it takes, if you're reasonably competent with a computer and a pen, it would take you 4 weeks if you follow the courses, and it's all online. So 130 quid, the Wacom tablet, and your own experience. Follow the courses and you'll be up and running inside 4 weeks, really, and you'll be pretty competent after 3 months. So this would have took me maybe 2 days now to reproduce that within ZBrush. Can be exported then as an STL or an object, can be put into Chitu box or Lychee slicer or whatever, and got ready for 3D printing. And that now, I have an Elegoo, I have an Elegoo, and I also have an Anycube Photon Mono X, and I can print that in one piece in about 6 hours, hollow, on demand. So I don't have to keep I don't have to make a silicon mold. I can print it really easily. There's no seam lines. There are like dots where the supports come on, but you just rub them off nice and easy depending on your settings. And this bit, which caused me a few problems, it will just print, no problem. This detail, it would be far more detailed than this piece I have here. And the lettering you can just put on and bend and deform around your bases. And in the full program, you can probably do a lot more than that, but that's sufficient as to what I want. And you can put in any text that you want, Roman, Gothic, design bases separately, print them in 2 parts. You could do that in lost wax if you wanted to, so that it could be prepared. The same one I'm using for plastic, I could use for lost wax printing, print it and cast it in bronze. So you only make the one design for all sorts of casting, whether you want to turn it into bronze or whether you want to print it as hollow or solid. If you really like, though that's a waste, what you would do is print it with a 3mm section with it, the slicer hollows it out for you, and then when it's fully cured, you pour whatever hard form ginsenite or whatever you would like in it, really, or hard plaster, and you'd end up with that. And it would cost about 6 quid, I suppose, something like that. You can print it in black, different colors, and whatever you print it in black, and then you can do the old bronzing on it, and or produce them in Union Jack colors if you like. So that's that one. Another thing is this, take this Artemis figure. I'll just put the 2 together, right? So this was originally done a couple of years back, and it's in Magic Sculpt on a aluminium armature, And it's a lovely piece of work, beautiful figure, and lovely. But so is this. This I modelled from that, and I changed the things that I thought I didn't like, and that is an actual print from an Elegoo Mars, just painted, you know. So that's 120mm. I can split up the kit to make it this size, 1/6, and it will look exactly like that, but in 1/6 scale. The Artemis there was just put on using the font, insert font, like plug-in, and that's in ZBrush Core. So to produce that, you can produce that in ZBrush Core for £130 plus 6 weeks of learning. So if you want to make anything, and it doesn't have to be these, it can be, you can use it to make any organic things, frogs or hares or whatever you want. And yeah, okay, so we've just started, it's early days, and you know, I have a lot to learn about marketing and where you sell this sort of thing and how do you get people interested. But that has to be sold for about £3,000 because that's how long it took. It took me nearly 2 weeks to get that to the standard I liked, and there's only one of them, and so on. To produce it in 1/6 using a printer, you've got to chop it up and then reassemble it, but you can fill it then and have it as light as you like. But yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you are a digital sculptor and you're producing model kits or figures or fruit or hairs or whatever, you know, reliefs, the things I have on the wall behind me, that the Fenella Fielding model kit, all the rest of it. Yeah, and there's a Gorgo sitting up there next to a Trump, next to a whatever. All of those could be much easier done in ZBrush and printed on demand when you have a sale. You can also do what's called a render within ZBrush, which will show the thing as it would be, and they're as accurate as hell. So your printer will give you exactly. So you can have your traditional sculpt and just be looking at it as you're working in ZBrush and improving, and then you can print this at the same size as that. You might have to split it up and so on. So this Cromwell, I suppose the overall turnover on this was £2,000, you know, so it pulled in £2,000 basically. And if I was doing it in ZBrush, it would have took me about 2 days, 3 days max, including the modeling of the base and all the rest of it. No dust, no nothing, and would print out exactly like that, and could be printed smaller or larger. So it's a no-brainer really. If you're at all good at sculpting, buy ZBrush Core. I really like ZBrush, you know, it is the go-to application. And you can put the thing that you make out for printing if you don't want to buy a printer yourself and get, you know, I'll talk about that another day because I've had hell and back with the printers. Not the Elegoo Mars with the Photon Mono X, and I think it's the resin, but we'll talk about that in another day. But for the question for a traditional sculptor who wants to join the new world and make life a lot easier for yourself, should you learn ZBrush? Yes. Just buy it and play with it. And the one thing I will say is treat it like you would a course. So buy it and then go through their training courses start to finish. And learn and learn and fail and learn and fail, and after about 3 months you'll have got it. You know, it's got its own peculiarities. It doesn't open in the last folder you saved in, for example, and they've got this weird way of saving files. It keeps asking you. I mean, you'll find why they do that quite useful in the end, because you don't lose files. But it can be confusing at the start because it's not like how people would normally do it. So to prevent this video getting over long, we'll keep it under 10 minutes. I hope that convinces you. If you've got 130 quid to spare, it's a no-brainer. Buy yourself ZBrush Core. You can always upgrade if you want more functionality later on, but for a beginner user, just get ZBrush Core and you'll be able to produce something like that in virtually within 6 weeks. You'll be able to produce one, you know, and you won't be able to, obviously that's been painted, but they come out in grey. But yeah, go for it. So should you learn it? Yes, please do. Please do. It's the right thing to do. Thanks for that. Bye now.